being at our monthly community meeting. Thank you for coming to our May meeting. At least today's a nice sunny day. Got a little warmer today, so maybe spring is going to happen and weather will improve and everybody will be a lot happier. So again, welcome. I know this is a change from our usual schedule. We usually start at 7 o'clock. We started at 6 tonight. I know a lot of people are stuck in traffic and maybe a good thing, maybe some people don't really have a problem that they need to address. So that's always a good thing. So we'll begin the meeting. I want to thank you for being here. And first thing I want to do is introduce everyone that's here. I'm Chief Sacco. I'm the police chief. I know you're very disappointed. I'm not Barry Clementi. I'm not the one who calls you and gives you all of the good info. But Barry did give me things to hand out.
You should have Barry come one night.
And I should do that. And I just want to say that I have some trinkets here that Barry gave to me to give out, File of Life, and some other informational flyers. So Barry's here in spirit. So before we go too far, I want to introduce the police officers that are here tonight. What I always say is the fact that you are able to sleep well at night. Hopefully you're sleeping well at night. But you are able to sleep well because of the work that the police officers do on the street. You're sleeping and they're out there patrolling, preventing crime from happening and apprehending the bad guys, hopefully before they commit the crime or shortly thereafter. But they do a great job and I want them to be recognized for that. To my immediate right, we have Sergeant Charlie Hartnett, who heads up our traffic unit. We have Jim Riccardi, Detective Jim Riccardi, who is our school resource officer. He's based pretty much at the high school, but does respond to calls for the other schools as well. On this side, we have Detective Pat O'Keefe, who is our DARE officer, teaches the DARE program in the 5th grade, drug abuse resistance education, and he's a resource to the school principals and school teachers that may have some difficulties with some children in their classrooms, and not just in the elementary, but all of the schools as well. We have Sergeant Jim Benoit, is our crime analyst. He's able to kind of pinpoint where the crimes are happening for us, so we have more information when the officers go on the street, so they have an idea of where all of the crimes are happening, and hopefully we can be a little more proactive if we know we see a trend happening, that we can actually put the officers where the crimes are taking place. I mean, that's always the goal, and I think the officers, the men and women of the department, do a pretty good job of that. In the far back with the red shirt, we have Officer Rory Lockowitz. He's one of our compliance officers who checks on underage drinking and also has been doing a lot of work on opiate prevention and outreach to those people who are taking drugs, heroin and other substances. In the back, we have Officer Joseph Gagliardi. We have Detective Mike Pellegrino, Officer Roberto Luongo, Officer Richie Razzo, and I'm sure you're all familiar with Razzo's Restaurant. There's the man responsible for that. And Officer Harold McGilvery, who is our K-9 officer. Presently, he has 2 dogs. One he's in training with, and Marco, the dog that you've had for how many years, Harry? 7 or 8 years, and the new dog, I'm sorry, I don't know the name. I should know it. Seamus. And how old is Seamus? 18 months. So Harry's been doing a lot of work and training with the new dog, and it takes a lot of time and effort and patience and endurance. So thank you for doing that. Did I leave any of the officers out? Thanks. Sergeant Angelo Raphael was here a moment ago. I think he had to leave. These officers probably will not be here very long because they have their radios on. If they get a call, they'll have to respond, but they wanted to stop in. I think it's important for you to become familiar with the officers that work in the city and protect and serve. Also, we have City Council President Rick Caraviello with us tonight and Councilor John Falco. And John is responsible for our community meetings going on the road. John initiated the conversation with me last year on this and said, what do you think if we move it around? And I told him that's something I always wanted to do, but never found time to find a location. And John took that piece of the work out of my hands and scheduled all the different locations, and it's been pretty successful. I think we've had great turnouts. So thank you, John, for that. With all of that said, we open the floor, or anyone who has cares, concerns, comments, criticisms. Also, I'm sorry, Jen, Jen Devil-Wood, who is the Mayor's Chief of Staff, she is here, and the benefit of Jen being here, whatever is said, whatever the comments or concerns are, it goes right back to the Mayor's office either later tonight or first thing tomorrow morning to be addressed, whether it be a police issue, a DPW issue, or any other issue. So Jen's the conduit to bring that message forward. And Mary Ann O'Connor, who is our Director of the Board of Health here in the City of Medford. Sorry for doing this at the end. And I have to thank Barbara Ritchie, because I think you are responsible for buying the pizzas this evening. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll open the floor. Any questions, comments, concerns? Ma'am, you're first.
I was early, I'll speak first. And I live on the corner of Blakely and Whitney, and I have witnessed multiple drug transactions last summer, like 5 or 6 times. And what I'm doing is I'm getting the cars going opposite ways from each other, handing whatever they hand, and then taking off at a high rate of speed. So I really wanted to come to this meeting before the summer. And also I have I have parking for 12 cars myself, and I'm getting like strange cars. I'm caught somebody multiple times leaving a car, and then I caught the person like taking a taxi into Boston and giving my address. Yes. And I would like to ask, what constitutes suspicious behavior?
Almost anything that's out of the ordinary. Anything that the suspicious behavior, what we need is reasonable suspicion, and that means that to believe that a person is either committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or has committed. So anything that, the person doesn't live in the neighborhood, maybe looking into yards, maybe looking into motor vehicles, maybe trying doors, maybe going up on your front porch or a neighbor's front porch. That would be suspicious. That would be a reason to call.
Okay, so my, like 2 weeks ago when I came home at night, there was one of these suspicious vehicles coming down Blakely, and as soon as the person saw me, instead of continuing, the car just backed up and it just scrammed, it took off, because I think I frightened them. So there is definitely drug dealing going on right there, here in Medford. And that's my comment about my neighborhood. And my other comment is the house in Medford Square. Tonight I witnessed public drinking there when I was coming here to the meeting, and I witnessed public drinking there multiple times.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
In the Riverside Ave house near the cemetery, right here in Medford Square.
Oh, that what used to be a bus shelter?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
We've been moving the people on that have been congregating. A younger group or an older
It
group?
was like a middle-aged man right tonight drinking a nip when I was coming here.
Look around, do you see him in the room?
No.
Did he make it here?
Oh, thank you for your time, and thank you for this meeting.
Now, the drug activity that you saw, was that during the daytime, the
Like
evening?
late at night, so it's like midnight. It's late at night.
Okay. But,
And I sleep on the first floor. So I see it. I look out, I hear something, I look out, and I see it. It's very, very quiet there. And it's very disturbing to bring it into the neighborhood.
unfortunately,
There's nothing, I can't get the license number.
almost every neighborhood has something going on, and it's a convenient location, off of the highway and off of the main drag, and it's unfortunate, but you telling us about it, or you seeing things like that, call. Don't hesitate to call.
It's too late when I see it. They're quick.
Yeah. Oh, no, it doesn't take any time at all.
It goes on just to let you know it's going on. It went on all last summer. I saw it, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mine is not a drug issue. Good evening. First of all, please thank Captain Barry Clemente. I love the calls coming because I'm busy and it keeps me reminded. My name is Rose Andrews. This is directed to the traffic gentleman sergeant over there. I've called several times complaining about cars parked from Arlington all the way to Monument. I live in Jerome and Harvard. And when you come down, you don't have clearance to see to take the corners. It's a matter of time before somebody's wiped right there. I want to know what you're doing about it, because I know I've called, because I know it's a recorded line, so I've done it a few times. What, if anything, have you thought of to get those people? I don't mind them parking, but the corners need to be clear so we can take a turn. And how long is it gonna take for some sort of enforcement to go on? Because it's, the way I learned it from the book, no 20 feet to the corner. Huh?
Well, I didn't know if you were done with your question, but to answer your question, we have done enforcement there. I've taken multiple calls, I've seen the C-click fixes that have gone on, and we have been giving citations for parking too close to the intersection, because I understand it is a problem. So we have done enforcement. Unfortunately, it's not something we can do, schedule every single morning because of other things that go on, whether we have traffic posts or we have selective enforcement set up in the city. But it has not gone unseen or unenforced. We have enforced that plenty of times. Sometimes we've gone down there and we haven't seen any violations. There's other times that we have gone down there and seen violations. And this is what my officers are reporting back to me. And I have seen the tickets. I've filed them away. And so it's not that we haven't, it's that sometimes you may not see the officers there every single day at the same time, but we try to do the best that we can with doing that enforcement down there, because I know it has been a problem, and we will still continue to watch the issue.
Yes, the question is, are they residents? Do they live in that area?
No, they get on the T, but here's my thing. Can you put a standing policeman that says no parking, this goes to the corner?
I would love to.
I'm not talking about a physical, I'm talking about a post sign.
A sign.
That says,
Street sign.
please, no
What,
parking.
what corner are you talking?
Harvard and Jerome.
Harvard and Jerome?
Harvard and Monument.
Well, I can tell you, Harvard and Jerome, we're looking at maybe four-way stop signs there
Yeah,
because of
thank
the number
you.
of accidents.
Yeah, lots of it.
That's not passed yet, but it's been discussed. That Harvard and Jerome is a tough location.
Okay.
But your concern is the cars parked on Jerome or the cars on Harvard?
The cars that are blocking, when you come to the intersection for Harvard and Jerome, or Monument and Jerome, you have no visual. You have to come out literally behind the cars to look. Now, by the time you're looking, you're now impeded, the traffic going there.
But are they on Harvard Ave or are they on
They're on
Jerome?
Harvard Ave,
They
sir.
are, okay.
The C piece of my question, when it was street sweeping, folks on Jerome Street were getting towed, but those very commuter cars that were on Harvard, no towing. And Harvard looks a mess.
To answer your question,
That's okay.
we don't, Harvard Ave is one of the major arteries, and so during the big sweep, like we just went through for the past 3 weeks, the big sweep is just the side streets. So vehicles we tell vehicles that, because they do have to park somewhere, so vehicles, residents are allowed to park on Harvard Ave as a result of that.
Thank you. Keep
You're
doing what you're doing, because I don't need no more accidents. I've seen too many.
I don't need them either.
All right, thank you. We'll see if we can do something about the signage there. Okay, anybody else?
Chief.
Council President.
Thank you. Chief, on the corner of High Street and Main, where the stores are empty at night, in that alley beside, in back of Carol's Restaurant, the Eyeglass Inn, is the people smoking marijuana, especially in the evenings, it's quite prevalent, especially in that alley in between the two buildings. And I think a lot of it comes from those apartments on top of the liquor store. And I say, you walk by there, and you see them, they're in the doorway smoking. You go by that alleyway in back, you see 2 or 3 people smoking marijuana, drinking beers. When the officers are around that way, if they can, check up on that. I know we're trying to improve the square, but things like that, keep people out of the square.
Again, I'm gonna make my push, brighter lighting. We need brighter lighting.
You're right, and I know I know that the city is buying brighter bulbs for that, but I wish that the owner of that property in the corner would put some lights underneath there, because those stores are all dark, those offices are all dark at night. But in that alley there, You'll always see 2 or 3 people smoking and drinking in there. But like I said, I think they're coming from the apartment on top of the liquor store on High Street.
You mentioned the evening hours for
It's in the late 9, 10, 11 o'clock hour. And I called you a few times on, the people sleeping in the ATM, in the Bank of America ATM.
I can tell you, not too many nights go by that I don't hear the officers calling that they're removing someone.
I know. Yeah. But again, if we could, keep up that and, keep them out there and say, I know we're trying to get people in the square, but when people see that, it keeps them out of the square.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Doreen Wayne, Dudley Street. I wasn't able to make the second parking commission meeting. I don't know if this is the right forum to ask you for an update on that, since you're not the consultant group, but I went to the first parking commission meting and then I was out of town. Didn't get a lot of notice.
We got your letter.
Thank you.
Did get your letter.
Okay.
It was just a further discussion on the permit parking, whether it be citywide,
The regional.
area-wide, or keep it as it is.
So there hasn't, my friend who went said, I think it's a done deal, the city's gonna do citywide parking.
I don't think you're gonna see citywide. Citywide doesn't seem to be favored by many. If anything, it's going to be a zone approach, and it may not be much different than what you see right now, because it's really just a neighborhood. So if you got a couple of streets that were permit parking near you, and those streets were full, and you could park, and you got a permit, you could park on the neighboring street that has a permit. It seems like it's growing, and it doesn't need to grow. We just need to kind of put the Medford stamp on it.
Well, because we all know, I don't know if anybody drives to Somerville or Cambridge, it's a nightmare to try and park sometimes there. I went in 15 minutes at Doherty one time and got a ticket. I said, that guy must have been waiting for me. I mean, I couldn't get a parking meter over near there, and I said, all right.
That's in Somerville, right?
Yeah, that's Somerville.
See,
It's
now everyone
early.
tells me how great it is in Somerville, but I heard the other night that, it was a horror show, so it's not so bad. Medford's not so
No, it's
bad.
not. Thank you.
Mr. Castanetti?
Mr. Chief Sacco, on that vein, on that subject, I got on my mind, I remember something happened, the second potential resident parking for the entire city, or only a section to try out, etc., I believe. If, as we know, we have resident parking only on certain streets as we speak, I believe that's the term, is that correct?
Right.
Parking only?
Yes.
Such as Adams Street, for example. And if this section, East Fourth or South Medford, we become all Medford resident parking only, in the entire section, will that affect the people that have the resident parking right now? Will those people be able to come into our existing Abbott Street and park there? Then we won't know whose car is what,
No, I
Do you
think,
know how it's projected?
I think right now, the proposal from the consultant would be that it would be done by zones. You'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. Zone 1 could not park in Zone 4, but if you had a Zone 4 permit, you could park anywhere in Zone 4. So any of the streets, we consider that a neighborhood, so you could park there, but not allowing, the issue came up with the hillside. Their concern was that, say, someone in Zone 4, we'll say Zone 4 is North Medford. If they have the permit for Zone 4, could they park in Zone 2, which would be the hillside by Tufts? And that would kind of defeat the purpose of having the permit parking up around there, for the students and everyone else who wants to violate. And then other neighborhoods where people can get on the commuter bus into Boston. So the idea would be to do it by zone and just let people park within that zone.
Yeah, I appreciate all the information, but I guess I'm making it too complicated. Presently, we have resident parking. If that section of the city becomes permit parking only, parking, Hot C, whatever, are those vehicles now allowed to park on Apple Street, which are presently resident parking only? Are they allowed to infiltrate back onto the streets
If-
that have
if
permit
it's-
parking only as we speak? That's
If
what
it's
I'm
in that
trying to-
neighborhood, if it's in the same neighborhood,
They can, as far as you.
Right.
Projection is going so far.
right. But no street will become permanent parking unless they petition for it. We're not going to force our will on the public. If they don't want permanent parking, they won't have it. It's not something like we're gonna say that, you know, all of the streets off of Riverside Avenue now are permanent parking. If a couple of the streets come in and they have a petition and they want it, then that would be done.
I guess I'm confused. If you live in Fulton Heights, for example, let's say you live on Park Avenue, it's resident parking right now. If they make Fulton Heights permanent parking for the entire city, be the permanent parking for all of Fulton Heights, will they now become able to park in front of your Park Street residents?
No.
Thank you.
Does
Mr.
your
Maloney.
office have any input into traffic when all this construction's going on?
There's been some input. Which
Right.
construction are we talking?
Friday,